गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गणेश शॉट। गणेश शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। आज हम कासा एंड गणेश शॉट वेबिनार में interim government in Bangladesh and what happens next is what we're going to talk about. And to talk about all this, I have with me General Vinod Bhatia, General KJ Singh, and General Shokin Chauhan. First, let me welcome them. Sirs, good evening and welcome to Ganashot and this interesting webinar, CASA webinar on the government in Bangladesh and what's coming ahead. Good evening to all of you, sirs.
Good evening, sir.
Uh,
Good evening. Thank you very much.
so, yeah.
Jai Hind, sir.
And I would like to tell all viewers that we have a real expert panel here who have served in the Northeast, who have been holding responsible positions in the Northeast. Just to tell everyone, General Shokin Chauhan was, the advisor to the Manipur and the Nagaland governments, and also the advisor for the ceasefire monitoring group in the Northeast. General KJ Singh, and of course, not to, I also forgot, General Shokin Chauhan was also the DG Assam Rifles. General KJ Singh was the Western Army commander, but before that, he was the co-commander in charge of the Sikkim Corps, and he had to handle Bangladesh as part of his AOR. General Vinod Bhatia was our DGMO, in which he handled all the national affairs of the country, and more importantly, he was also the co-commander of Sikkim, in which Bangladesh came under his AOR. It is our good fortune that we have such a lot of people who are complete experts in the Northeast and who will tell us what this interim government in Bangladesh is all about and what's coming next. So let's tee off. Okay. Let me put everyone through a set of fundamental issues which have gone on in Bangladesh in the past 72 hours. And I'll get everyone onto a same platform. And then I'll request each of us, each esteemed member in the panel to give his views. Right. The first thing is that the interim government of Mohammad Yunus is in place, and the news coming out from those who are part of this government is that it is to stay in place as long as necessary. There's no talk of elections at all. And in fact, they've said we'll see when the elections have to be held. Okay. The situation is still volatile and far from stable. Hindus were targeted till yesterday. Today, the Hindus have come out on the streets, not only here, even in New York. So there is a backlash. But will it stop the killings? Will it stop the violence? Is to be seen. The police till today morning were off duty. Completely, they were absent from Dhaka altogether. And this was reported by BBC. Somewhere in the afternoon, they started coming back, and a few police stations have started functioning. The Chief Justice of Dhaka was forced to resign. The Dhaka University Vice Chancellor has resigned. The Bangladesh Bank Governor, he's also put in his papers. And these are the main people. There are more who are bit the dust. Okay. Overall, one can say that the political landscape is unclear. The army is there, but it is reluctant. It is not taken on the mantle. Why it's reluctant, whether it's a backroom deal, whatever it is, we don't know. But it is there, but not really in the driver's seat. Okay. The role of the BNP, Awami League, and the Jamaat-e-Islami, they're all up in the smoke. We don't know what they're doing. But we generally know that the Awami League people are being targeted, and BNP and JEI seem to be in the driving seat, which is expected in such an event. Minorities are unsafe, and elections, like I said earlier, are far away. Okay, we are looking at a long period of turbulence. The unemployed youth bulge is not going to run away. 197 million Bangladeshis with a big youth bulge is going to be a problem. The economy is bleak, it is broken, it is already under the IMF, and their garment industry, which is their mainstay, has been completely broken. There is internal strife, we know that. But more importantly, The external interests are still at play from China, Pakistan, and USA. And migration, certain efforts are already underway for people who are there to escape out of Bangladesh. But long term trends suggest migration will commence and pose a threat to India. Okay, right. Look at the fate of the Bangladeshi leaders. Let's put certain things in perspective historically. Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, their founding father, was assassinated. Now he's being desecrated, right? I don't know whether Bangladesh respects him the way they should. Then the next president, Kondakar Mustaq Ahmad, he was deposed in a coup. Ziaur Rahman was assassinated later on. Abdus Sattar, who followed Ziaur Rahman, was also deposed in a coup by H.M. Ershad, who after a long stint ended up in jail. Khalida Zia, she had 2 tenures and ended up in jail. Sheikh Hasina, 4 tenures, jailed and fled. She was, jailed in between. So generally, in Bangladesh, all their leaders have been assassinated, deposed, or jailed. And in between, I've not, highlighted those who are not that famous, who are just passengers in the whole show. Okay. What are our interests and what's the PM's message? The PM has given a message. He has given us best wishes. He hopes for an early return to normalcy, and he looks to ensuring safety and protection of Hindus and all other minority communities. He says India remains committed to working with Bangladesh to fulfill the shared aspirations of both our peoples for peace, security, and development. So he's put a whole bunch of issues in Bangladesh lap. Okay. Besides the PM, UK and Canada have been very fast in welcoming the new government of Mohammad Yunus. Okay. Now, what are the Indian aspirations? The Indian aspirations are very simple. We need a secure and stable Bangladesh because that leads to a stable Northeast and a stable India. This region must be free of foreign influence altogether. Right. We all know instability in Nepal, Bangladesh, and Myanmar will have repercussions on the complete Northeast and beyond. And Bangladesh is in the worst state amongst all these three at this point of time. We have a line of credit of $8 billion given to Bangladesh. And we have our companies who have invested in Bangladesh, including Marico, Imami, Dabur, Asian Paints, and Tata Motors. And we got into some agreements, right? Sovereign agreements with Bangladesh government, right? And it is actually to be seen now whether Bangladesh will honor all these commitments. So this is the general, condition at this point of time, right? With this as a background, the first question which I have to all three of our panelists is this: we have an interim government in place in Bangladesh. How do you see things unfolding? What's next? How do you see things from an Indian point of view, an international point of view, and an internal point of view? I'd first request General Shokin Chauhan to give his views. All yours, General Shokin. You have to unmute yourself. Unmute
Good
yourself.
evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for calling me on the show, sir. Well, let's start from the beginning, as you said. What exactly is the situation now, and where are we looking at it, and what are India's interests? These are the three things that we should keep in mind all the time, and keep it as simple as possible. So you've given us this overview, sir, that on the 5th, 6th of August, the Bangladesh chief, Wakar, told Begum Hasina or Sheikh Hasina that was given 45 minutes to leave. And she left the country within 45 minutes and she landed in India. She's still in India. That's the first issue. Second issue is that after she landed in India, there were a whole lot of killings which you have mentioned already, which shows the inherent faults in the Bangladeshi democracy. And when you read out the fate of their democratic leaders or the non-democratic leaders, either they've been killed or they're in jail. And now, of course, we have a situation where Khalida Zia, the widow of Zia Rahman, who was in prison for a long time, has just been released. And she's given a statement saying that we're going to bring Bangladesh back to glory, is the statement that she's given just now, just a couple of hours back. Now, what, how does it affect us? Why is Bangladesh so important to us? And why is this change in Bangladesh a setback to India's interests? Well, obviously, both in terms of economic and in terms of geopolitical stakes, even as we help or India helps keeping Hasina safe and secure, we must engage the new regime in Dhaka and show by actions more than friends that when it comes to the neighborhood, India's friendship is with the country and its people and not any one leader or party. That's the first thing India has to do. The second thing we have to be very clear about over the last couple of years, especially in South Asia, there have been a large number of changes, and no change is permanent. A couple of years back, Pakistan's leaders have gone into exile and returned to power. Rajapaksa, India's leader, has also returned to the country, and so might Hasina. But it's important to learn the lessons of democracy and keep a finger on the pulse of the people. For India has to keep engaging all parts of its neighborhood. I have been always talking about the fact that our neighborhood is the most important part of us, and India's vulnerabilities center around her neighborhood. You just have to look from the north to the east to the west to the south. Our neighbors are in trouble. And when our neighbors are in trouble, it all starts affecting India. Why? One is because the Indian economy is like a shining light between the rest of but
Right. And the shining light is attracting all illegal migrants into India. And the illegal why? Because their countries are economically very dependent on us at the moment, and because they're in shambles, their economies, and we must expect over the next couple of years a very large number of illegal economic migrants who will create a major issue for our security. So, the security that India has to face when we are talking about our neighborhood is something that we have to be very careful about. We've been talking about so many issues, but let's talk about two issues. Religious radicalization and majoritism is endemic to South Asia. It's a home of many religious majorities and will need to be reversed, or there's a risk of a spillover. Every change that happens in any one of these neighborhood countries will affect our country. And because this will affect our country, and because there is a very major issue as far as our domestic and external policies are actually intertwined between themselves. And many times it is the compulsions of our domestic policy that affect our relations with our neighborhood. And that is exactly in the quagmire that we are in. Today we have an Indian Bengal and we have Bangladesh, two huge Bengali majority populations. Both of them are symbiotically linked to each other, emotionally, language, in every way linked to each other. But at the same time, they're separate. So while we we deal with these issues. We can't deal with countries like this purely from a point of view of saying, okay, let's build a fence, let cut off that country from us, our side, and let that country deal with whatever it has to. We will continue growing. India's growth, India's future is tied up with its neighborhood. And that is an important part when we understand the problems that Bangladesh will lead us into. You talked of the Northeast. A very major part of the Northeast problems start from two neighboring countries of ours. One is Bangladesh and the other is Myanmar. And the spillover of both these countries is likely to recreate a major issue in us. I remember in 1984-85, we had a major problem with uh, the Assam agitation. Much of the Assam agitation's problems started from Bangladesh. The spillover of the Bangladeshi refugees that came into India and changed the demographics of Assam, of many northeastern states, the repercussions are still being felt right now. More disturbances in countries like Bangladesh and in Burma will mean more illegal migration coming into India. This illegal migration will create a problem within our country, and the spillover will very likely, and if it is not controlled, will very likely create a demographic problem within our country, which will again fuel another major agitation in the Northeast, both in Assam and the other northeastern states. As it is, Manipur is in a problem. Why? Because there's a illegal migration. One, secondly, there's a spillover of the problems that are happening in Myanmar. There's a spillover in the country, and this spillover is having a problem with the local populations. Now, the third issue, which is important to us, is that can we do or can we still be successful in regional groupings? Are regional groupings possible in our neighborhood? Can we deal with common social and economic challenges together? Is SARC to be abandoned due to Indo-Pakistan differences? And what happens to BIMSTEC, the second creation, if India and Bangladesh now develop issues? These are issues we've got to keep seeing. And the major lessons for India is, and especially what is happening in South Asia, is that street power. As Shankar sir, you mentioned today, uh, the Bangladesh Chief Justice was forced to resign through the process of street power. The police surrounded his residence, refused to allow him to move till he resigned. Street power rules in Bangladesh today. So, street power, the power of protest, should not be taken lightly, even if they're quelled in the short term. And the next important issue is joblessness. Joblessness, and as you said, that youth bulge and lopsided, unequal economic growth is increasingly a South Asian concern. So we have vulnerabilities, we have problems, we have vulnerable communities within our country, and our domestic issues are intertwined with our external neighborhood problems. And these are issues that we have to find solutions to. We cannot make fences and we cannot expect the problem to go away. Thank you very much.
Uh, Thanks a lot for what you have said. I think let me recount the important points you made. Uh, First, you highlighted that there are fault lines in the Bangladeshi democracy and the Bangladeshi system, and these are likely to endure. And as we move ahead, so certain amount of instability will continue. Right. India should have friendship with the people and the country, not with any specific individuals, as a general rule going forward. I think it's a very important thing.
Yeah.
Then, the most critical point which you made and which people have to understand is that India's vulnerability is in our neighborhood, right? And our economy is like a shining light which will attract all moths to it. And that's going to have its own problems. That's going to trigger illegal migration, and illegal migration will trigger security problems in the northeast and ahead, or even further in hinterland, and will create its own demographic and security related problems. And then the future of regional groupings. All these issues are something which India has to take into account when dealing with Bangladesh. So I think that's what I think it's a you get an overview of India's real grassroots concerns and how we need to approach Bangladesh in future. Thanks a lot. With this, I'll request General KJ sir, all yours. Uh, Please carry on.
Thank you, Shankar. Like your good opening batsman, वीरेंद्र सहवाग, शौकीन साहब ने पूरे सब्जेक्ट को ही पूरी तरीके से कवर कर दिया है. तो रीडर्स, मैं यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाता हूँ. लेट मी स्टार्ट विद चाणक्याज कॉन्सेप्ट. चाणक्य ने बोला था कि एक मंडला थ्योरी होती है. हर राष्ट्र के चारों तरफ मंडल होते हैं जिसमें उसका प्रभाव होता है. इन्फ्लुएंस स्फीयर्स एक्सटेंड फ्रॉम अ कंट्री टू वेरियस कोसेंट्रिक सर्कल्स. आप हमारे सर्कल को अगर देखें तो अब भूटान को छोड़कर कोई हमारे प्रभाव में अच्छी तरीके से नहीं है. बांग्लादेश स्लिप कर रहा है. जहां तक हम रीजनल ग्रुपिंग्स की बात करें, अगेन द क्वेश्चन इज वेरी डिस्टर्बिंग. साख, जैसा जनरल चौहान ने बताया, वेंटिलेटर पर है. BBIN तो शायद वेंटिलेटर से भी नीचे उतर गया है. और बिम्स्टेक जिसका हेडक्वार्टर ढाका में, क्या वो भी वेंटिलेटर पे चला जाएगा? सवाल बड़ा जरूरी है, सोचने वाला. और हमारी लॉयल्टी शेख हसीना के साथ बहुत है. उनका एरा हमारे लिए गोल्डन एरा. इट वाज अ गोल्डन पीरियड फॉर इंडिया. इफ आई हैव टाइम आई विल एक्सप्लेन हाउ इट वाज. बट वन थिंग इज देयर. At one stage, I even wrote she should be given Bharat Ratna for what contribution she's made to get stability to Northeast. लेकिन आज जब वो हिंदुस्तान में है तो वो हॉट पोटैटो की तरह से, कोई उनको अपनी अवन में नहीं देखना चाहता. सब चाहते हैं वो मेरी अवन से बाहर रहे. तो उनका यहाँ रहना हमारे लिए कॉम्प्लिकेशन पैदा कर सकता. और मेरे दोस्तों, मैं तो बहुत यूनिवर्सिटीज में जाके पढ़ाता रहा. जब मैं देखता हूँ बांग्लादेश के बारे में, हमारी दो बहुत बड़ी कमजोरियां हैं. एक तो हम उनकी जो स्ट्रेटेजिक सिग्निफिकेंस है उसको बिल्कुल नहीं समझते हैं, अंडर एस्टिमेट करते हैं. आप जियोपॉलिटिक्स की बात तो छोड़ ही दो. अगर किसी से भी पूछा, मैंने IITs में पूछा, IIM में पूछा, इंडिया के लॉन्गेस्ट बॉर्डर्स किसके साथ, which country has the longest borders with India? And the question answer which I invariably get is Pakistan and China. But the border is the longest with Bangladesh, 4,096 kilometers, and spanning 5 sensitive states, which are dangerously poised. At least 3 of them at this moment, and 2 are also unstable. रिवराइन टेरेन. अच्छा, दूसरी सबसे बड़ी हमारी कमजोरी ये है, आर एक्सपेक्टेशन दैट फॉरएवर अनलिमिटेड क्वांटिटी में बांग्लादेश शुड बी ग्रेटफुल टू अस. मेरे दोस्तों, जो जनरेशन आज स्ट्रीट में घूम रही है, वो और मिडिल क्लास जिनकी उम्र लगभग 55-56 साल तक है, उन्होंने 71 को देखा भी नहीं. उनसे हम क्यों ये एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे हैं? Why are we expecting? और देखिए, जब 1975 में पहला कू हुआ तो लोगों ने शेख मुजीबुर रहमान के घर को नहीं जलाया. धान मंडी रेजिडेंस ऑफ शेख मुजीबुर रहमान was respected and not touched. But what has happened this time? They have burnt it. They have destroyed his statue. So the lesson is this generation has no connect. Think of now and here and invest in them with interest set in consideration. And Bangladeshi are, I have worked with them in UN mission. They are very competent people, and like true Bengalis, they have certain amount of sensitivity about their own self interest. अगर कोई उनको इस भावना से देखे तो वो एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते। आप ये बात याद रखें। अभी हम क्या कर रहे हैं? हम कह रहे हैं ये तो अमेरिका ने करा दिया, ये तो चाइना ने करा दिया, ये तो पाकिस्तान ने करा दिया। You know, my friends in Bangladesh, I'm in touch with them. They tell me this is like abusing us. We call it monsoon revolution, people's revolution. And you are saying कि सिर्फ कॉन्स्पिरेसी है। कॉन्स्पिरेसी तो होगी, जरूर होगी। क्यों ना आईएसआई इसमें करेगी या चाइनीज करेंगे, लेकिन ग्राउंड तो प्रिपेयर्ड था ना, फर्टाइल था। किसी ने तो गलती की, और वो गलती अनफॉर्चुनेटली शेख हसीना ने क्या की वो तो हम जानते हैं। लेकिन मेरे को आपको एक चीज से और अवेयर करा देना चाहिए कि शेख हसीना का जो रूल था वो इंडिया के लिए स्ट्रेटेजिकली गोल्डन। देखिए, चीजों 1950 में नागा जो रेबल लीडर था वो क्रॉस ओवर करके ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में चला गया। नागा रेबल्स भी चले गए थे, उनकी ट्रेनिंग भी कराई गई थी। तब से लेकर जब तक शेख हसीना पावर में नहीं आई 2009 तक, वहां पर सारे इंसर्जेंट ग्रुप्स जो कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के थे, एक टाइम पर मैंने इसका एक सेंसस किया था, उन सब के वहां पे कैंप, सारों के वहां पे हेडक्वार्टर्स थे, कैंप थे। अच्छा, आज के यू टेक इट टुडेज कॉन्टेक्स्ट, परेश वर्मा हेडिंग एंटी टॉक फैक्शन was in Bangladesh, was tried for Cox's Bazar arms case, had embraced Islam and Sheikh Hasina when she assumed partial rule. Anup Chetia, he was handed over from Ulfa. And Anthony Shimre, who is self-styled commander-in-chief of NSC and IM Army, he was also there. All these guys who are currently relevant were in Bangladesh. So we have gratitude to Sheikh Hasina. We are worried कि अब आगे क्या होगा। ये इशू हमको जरूर जल्दी से जल्दी रिंग फेंस करनी चाहिए, इसके बारे में डिस्कशन करना चाहिए, इसके बारे में हमको इंटरनेशनली रीच आउट करना चाहिए। जो दूसरी चीज है, शेख हसीना से पहले हम अपनी कनेक्टिविटी को मजबूत करने के लिए बांग्लादेश को बाईपास कर रहे थे। हम कालाडान जा रहे थे, सितवे पोर्ट जा रहे थे, जो एक बहुत मुश्किल था, इसीलिए वो हुआ भी नहीं और वो अभी भी लटका हुआ है। लेकिन जब शेख हसीना आई तो अभी 3 पैसेंजर ट्रेनें चलती हैं, 5 फ्रेट ट्रेन चलती हैं, 3 लिंक्स और रिस्टोर हो रहे हैं, बसेस चलती हैं। हमको बुंगला पोर्ट में टेक मिल गया। हमारे कहने पे माताबारी पोर्ट में इंडो जैपनीज प्रोजेक्ट शुरू हो गया। हालांकि शेख हसीना को इसमें एक बात की क्रेडिट देना पड़ेगा, उन्होंने इंडिया और चाइना को बैलेंस करना वो एक्सपर्ट थी, क्योंकि बांग्लादेश के 70% आर्म्स चाइना से आते, एड भी उधर से लेते काफी सारे। और चाइना ने वहां पर सबमरीन बेस भी बनाया, पायरा नाम का बेस बनाया है। लेकिन फिर भी शेख हसीना ने बहुत मजबूती दिखाई, एंड शी वाज लीडर हु हैड दैट capability to balance. But China has given a very dangerous message this time. When she went to China, she was treated badly and she came back. The message in our neighborhood is zero-sum policy. It is only us. Don't involve India. So there are challenges. Our diplomats have to find ways. I fully agree with Chauhan that we have to have linkages with everything. See, increasingly we are in this situation. Haqqani in Afghanistan, Murdu in Maldives, Rajpaksa in Sri Lanka, Oli Prachanda in Nepal, Topge in Bhutan. ये तो ठीक नहीं है. We have to link up with all leaders, all influence makers, and especially we should reach out to army in Bangladesh. See, Wakar uz Zaman, the current chief of Bangladesh Army, has done staff course in UK, has served on peace building in UN. Today in UN, the largest peace building contingent is from Bangladesh, 6,700 or something. So surely our officers have done courses with them. Our officers have trained with them. So what is stopping our foreign service from using him instruments? Why can't we discover those people who were with him, who had some linkages with him? We may not make very big gains, but reach out we must. And we must appoint some kind of, we have appointed a panel, which is a good initiative, a good message given by Prime Minister. But can we have an ambassador at large, somebody to reach out to those interest groups and make contacts with them? Because army, in my perception, will be influence maker for a long time. When I went to Bangladesh on a visit, I realized, oh, army does nearly hell of a lot of things in Bangladesh. Even elections. In Indian elections, there are rules that army will stay this far away. In Bangladesh, it is the other way around. So that is a very important factor. Interim cabinet, you would have heard 17 members, 4 women, 1 Hindu, 1 Chakma, 2 army veterans, 1 Brigadier Shaktawat Hussain, who had become a diplomat. He is the home minister type of a this thing. 1 naval commando who was winner of Bir Pratik. He is also become a sort of a minister portfolio not specified. So all in all, to me, this uh, ministry looks quite impartial. It is apolitical. Uh, I agree that vandalism has taken place, but it has also touched the other community, the dominant community. All Awami League supporters have suffered. I have a friend who's a big businessman. He gave me a message today. My business office all vandalized. And he is from majority community of Bangladesh. So challenges are across. Uh, we have to be careful in what we say. Just to dismiss this movement as some conspiracy may not be right. It will be good to wait and watch. Uh, be careful on what we say. Some commentators said, inexperienced army chief. He's just 1 month old. अरे भाई उससे पहले वो CGS था. He was also the PSO. In Bangladesh, there is an appointment. In Prime Minister's office, there is a Major General who's the main, who's like a deputy NSA over there. So he's done that appointment also. And former chief was his father-in-law. So he's a well-entrenched person who's got good hold over things. And what is the point in saying now that India warned Sheikh Hasina that don't appoint Wakar उस zaman? अब कहने से क्या फायदा? उसको कौन लीक कर रहा है? Who's leaking this information? Why should we leak it? Do we want to reach out to him, or do we want to give him a message that we try to prevent your appointment? It's a very important question which our social media and so-called friends of India must address. I see a lot of irresponsible articulation on social media which can create problems for our government. Why should we do that? Do we even know the full story? I don't know. Was it really done? So why are we trying to take this credit? So I have great hope, because Bangladesh is a resilient kind of a country. They were on a path to economic recovery. They would certainly like to do that. The way forward is through some patience, reach out to all influence makers, all opinion makers, remain economically networked. That will be the way we'll rediscover our mojo over there. Be careful, and also very important thing is, this is my guess, I have no information beyond reading on media. We seem to have had some difference of opinion with USA in dealing with Bangladesh problem, because denial of asylum in USA and UK at the behest of USA is indicative of that. It will be a good idea if we find convergence with USA. Even if USA has to have a base, St. Martin's Island, let them have it. It is better than China being there. So in order to check China, USA is our best asset in this, at least in this time frame, because the advisor to the government, Mohammed Yunus, is very close to Democratic Party. He is supposed to be built up by USA through the years. So why not take advantage of it? Even if initially they appear to be uh, not favorably disposed to us, today India's stock is the lowest in Bangladesh because of our links with. But but it's not going to last for long. You've seen Muizo, how he's coming around. You've seen Rajpakse. Now Basil is becoming India's friend, Basil Rajpakse, the youngest. So Taliban is negotiating with us. Pakistan is accusing us of providing protection through Taliban. So things will change. They have to change. For a strong economy and resilient country like India, things can't be bad for too long. I don't think so.
Right,
But
sir.
we have to have patience. So thank you,
Yeah.
Shankar sir.
Sir, thanks a lot. I think you made a lot of points, a very lot of valid points. Let me recount the major ones. The major thing is that Bangladesh is a very sensitive country. The people are sensitive about their own self and everything. Or social media or normal media is showing a lot of insensitivity and making, rubbing the Bangladesh people the wrong way. And this itself, whether it's correct or not, is a secondary issue, is going to land us in some kind of a difficult situation with Bangladesh for times to come. I think a very valid point. We have to be very clear whether we want to live with 1.7 million people in strife or in peace. Right? That is a larger issue which you have brought up, which I think is this thing. At this point, you said the ministry looks stable, supported by USA, and you also made the larger point that we have not on the same page or on the same uh, thought process as USA is. So we need to find convergence with USA, even if it doesn't suit us, because it's better to keep, China out than try to go, the other way with USA. Right. Uh, the next point, I think, which is very, very major, most of our neighboring countries are not in sync with us, except Bhutan. If probably Bhutan had a chance at this point of time, they also wouldn't be in sync with us. The issue of Sheikh Hasina, the way she's helped us, you have put across, I think all of us, at some point of time, we have discussed this on Ghana Shot itself, with each of you have discussed. We have to be eternally grateful to Sheikh Hasina. But at this point of time, she's a hot potato. But we need to help her to find some safe sanctuary wherever it is, and not get worried. After all, we did give Dalai Lama sanctuary.
And Shankar, if I may be allowed one interjection.
Yeah.
Lesson can be learned from Sheikh Hasina only. Whenever she visited India, she went and called on Mrs. Gandhi. Sonia
Yes.
Gandhi.
Yeah.
So here is one
Yeah.
leader who was telling us that make contacts with all kinds of groups.
All people. Yeah. Right. And then the strategic significance of Bangladesh having the longest border with India and five sensitive states, you reiterated, right? I think, and the last point, of course, is we shouldn't run down the Bangladesh army. It is an important player, and the present chief, he might be reluctant. He might be playing a slow second fiddle, but he is nobody's fool. He's pretty experienced. He knows what he is doing. Don't run him down. I think you made a lot of points. With this, Sir General Vinod Bhatia, sir, all yours. Please take on.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure listening to both my colleagues, General Shokin, Chauhan, and General KJ Singh, and of course, General Shankar. You have निचोड़ दे दिया आपने पूरा. I hope my audio is okay.
Yes, sir, you're okay.
Thank you. Now, I go along with whatever my colleagues have said. I think Bangladesh जो है is the most important neighbor we have. It is not China. It's not Pakistan. It is Bangladesh. Firstly, it is not the longest border we have with Bangladesh, 496 kilometers. Bangladesh is the only, there's a Siliguri corridor. It's a 20 kilometers corridor, runs along Bangladesh on one side, Nepal and Bhutan and on the other side, and we connect 8.5 states. It's not 7 sisters, it's 8.5 states. The half is North Bengal. It is 5.5 crore people. That is the connect we had. And that is what Sheikh Hasina did. She gave us, and General Chauhan has said so, she gave us connectivity through that. So basically with Bangladesh, we got the 3 C's: culture, connectivity, and commerce. Right? So Bangladesh is very important to us. Whatever happens in Bangladesh is the will of the Bangladeshi people, and we should respect it, irrespective of what is our interest. We should respect the will of the Bangladeshi people, and that is extremely important. Today, the situation in Bangladesh, there's turmoil, there's turbulence, and we should accept that I think there's a disturbance somewhere.
Yeah, I'll just say. Yeah.
Thank you. So
Sir, 1 minute. Shokin, I think the disturbance is coming from you because if I'm muting it, it's going out. So you might like to have a look at it. Yeah, please. Please carry on, sir.
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying was that the turmoil and turbulence in Bangladesh is exceedingly sensitive to India's security concerns and economic concerns, because we've got commerce also with Bangladesh. Irrespective of what has happened and our earlier stance with 1.5 decades of the Sheikh Hasina regime being in Bangladesh, which are extremely good for India from all aspects, right? Today we should respect the will of the people, and we hope and pray that peace and stability is restored in Bangladesh, because we need a region which has got peace and stability. Like my colleagues have said already, India's neighborhood is in turmoil. 7 land neighbors, 6 are in turmoil. Afghanistan, Pakistan. No, let's not forget Pakistan. Pakistan in turmoil today. Pakistan economically weak, militarily weak, administratively weak, politically weak. Similarly, Bangladesh today is economically weak, it's politically weak, it is militarily weak. Right? I hope militarily it's not weak because the chief should take charge and do things, because interim government has been installed, but the power behind that, the proximity power, will be with the chief. The chief will dictate what happens. And we should not certain ideologies say there's a democracy or something. We should look at peace and stability in the region, in Bangladesh, and the will of the people. Right? Again, Nepal went also, when Nepal had strikes and change of government. Sri Lanka and Maldives, we know what they are. So we are under difficult, sort of a security and economic domains. Our Northeast Act East policy is again not possible because Bangladesh and Manipur, Nagaland. Similarly, neighborhood first policy is in shambles, I must say. These are facts. So what happens to India? Today, India's rise as a resurgent power, as a global leader, as a regional power, is being stymied because of our neighborhood. And South Asia is 25% of the world's population, and less than 10% of the real estate is the area. So we, as the elder brother, I will not say big brother, we have to look at how to help out our neighbors to ensure peace and stability. And one of the main things is that we should not only look at our neighbors from the security perspective. No, that is something which we should not do. We should also look at our neighbors, more importantly, from the economic perspective, economic domain. Because if we grow together, it will be easier for both of us. Because, like Jan Shokin said, employment generation. The problem started in Bangladesh with employment generation, basically, because of the reservation policy which the Supreme Court gave. So the youth is very important. And the Dhaka University, I think, is a center of our power. If you recollect, in February of 1971 also, the complete thing started from Dhaka University. Earlier, the language thing started at Dhaka University. And whatever you call it, the monsoon spring or the Arab spring, whatever you call it, it again, the center was Dhaka University. So students are very important. That's a lesson we should learn in India also. We should never ever act against the students, because student, the youth power, and that is something which, let me say very honestly, which India has done exceedingly well after the Mandal Commission. We had the Mandal Commission in the 90s, and we have learned our lessons from that. So it is for us now to make sure that Bangladesh remains in reasonable state of peace. Fortunately, the commerce activity has started, because textile industry is a major industry, and the chief has said that we will provide protection and the textile industry should not stop. But economic migration is going to take place, and that we should be prepared for. We have fenced Bangladesh 3 sites. So when the economic migration takes place, whether it is with the Hindus or whether it's the majority community, it doesn't really matter. But that is not good for us. Any migration towards our towards our borders, because our northeastern states are stable right now. Any instability there will impact us adversely in the security situation and the economy. So this is as far as the Bangladesh is concerned. And what is the impact India? Like I said earlier, and my colleagues also said, I think we should look at Bangladesh from the economic perspective. We have connectivity issues, connectivity domains, which the Sheikh Hasina government had said. We should look at the positives that the LBA, the Land Border Agreement, was signed during this tenure. We have had a very peaceful sort of thing. And how do we build upon that? Invest in the people of Bangladesh. We should start our commerce activities, our trade activities immediately, because most of the needs are interrelated and they go from India, and we should not be too harsh on what has happened. And Sheikh Hasina, fine, Sheikh Hasina is good to us. We should look after Sheikh Hasina, not look after Sheikh Hasina. It's not material. It is the nation which is material, and we should look after Bangladesh. So this is something which I must say. And in the overall context, when we talk about neighborhood, we should also look at what does the neighborhood want. Look at our budget. Only 6,500 crore rupees are earmarked to the Ministry of External Affairs in this budget, in this year's budget, for everyone. And if we want our neighborhood to be stable, to be peaceful, and to be pro-India, I think we should act like an elder brother and help out the neighborhood in economic, because they need economic aid. And if we have to help them economic aid, we need to increase our budget for the MEA. If that doesn't happen, we can keep talking about it, and the people will not see, the visibility will not be there. Like in Afghanistan, I think we invested in the people of Afghanistan. There is visibility there. In Bhutan, there is visibility there. But in other countries, that visibility is lacking, and we need to do much more than talk of a neighborhood first policy. If we are serious about neighborhood first policy, we should have more economic aid going as elder brother, not as big brothers. There are different between big brother and elder brother. So I think I have taken my time, which you allotted, and I will stop out there. Well, most of what I wanted to say, my colleagues already said it. But last word again, reiterating, Bangladesh is extremely important to us from the security aspect of the Siliguri corridor. 5 states, all sensitive, and all connected through a very narrow corridor. And that is what I think should be looked.
Thank you, sir. I think you also made some very, very important points, new issues. You reiterated the fact that Bangladesh is our most important neighbor. This view is also reciprocated from a lot of people in Bangladesh who feel India is their most consequential neighbor. And this came out yesterday from their, trade, heads, which I actually read out, in fact, in yesterday's podcast. Uh, After all, though there are five sensitive states connected, 8.5 states are there which are connected. The point 0.5 being the northern North Bengal, which is very important, which is almost a state. We need to respect the will of the people, and like just we expect our will to be respected by the world, we need to respect their will. I think that's a very important thing, and that is something which our social media is not doing at this point of time. Right? Whatever has happened, you can find fault with whatever has happened, but the fact is, it has happened. It is their country; they have to sort it out. At this point of time, we need to probably help them how to sort it out. Okay.
Can
Uh,
I take a minute? Can I take a
yeah,
second?
please, sir. Yeah,
See,
sir. Please, sir.
no, we should not start believing in what's coming in the media, in the
Yeah.
WhatsApp. No, we have always respected. India does not interfere in the internal functioning of any country whatsoever. That's our policy, and we ensure that policy. Irrespective of today, we want to become hero. Everyone thinks that India is a big power. We should be like the US regime change and all, or be like China. No, sorry, we have all over. That is why we are respected. That soft power we talk about, we are respected because we do not interfere. We do not give moral lectures. We do not give ideological lectures, and we treat the people as the people are, and that is something we should propagate. And we find media saying that our intelligence did this, someone did that. I think it's not right. Bangladesh can't be carried away by intelligences. What are intelligences doing? Sorry, it's not meant for that. And we should respect the will of the people. Again, I'm reiterating that is exceedingly important. All perspectives of the people have to be respected, and we should factor that in our dealings with the neighbor countries.
Yeah, I think so. So, and we need to respect. Yeah, that's very important. Uh, and we also have to understand that our neighborhood is in shambles. This is a point which has come out from all three of you, and we need to really do some, rethink as to why is it in shambles. Is it our outreach to them? It's the way we are dealing with them, what it is, and we have to stop this thing of big brother attitude or trying to interfere in their internal affairs. We burnt our fingers badly when we went into Sri Lanka. We shouldn't do another great mistake like trying to interfere in the internal affairs of Bangladesh. We also burnt our fingers badly in Nepal when we did interfere in their internal affairs. So if we have learnt our lesson, we should allow Bangladesh the space to come out of their own problems on their own. And like the KJ and has said, that look, even if you have to do convergence with USA, do that convergence and get to the larger issues. Okay. Then, of course, the student power, which you touched upon, the characteristic of Bangladesh politics, a lot of power comes from the students, and that's you see them being prominent and running the agenda in that. And we have to be sensitive to this part of the story and not keep looking at shadows and gins in the shadows of just the BNP and JEI. Okay, we need to invest into Bangladesh, right? And we invest into Bangladesh so that we are visible, because the visibility factor has paid us good dividends in even in Sri Lanka. Our visibility in their economic crisis has given us good dividends. The same thing has given us good dividends in Afghanistan, and that visibility factor or the non-visibility factor is also giving us good things and dividends in Maldives. So, like all three of you said, we've had this experience in this area, which is completely episodic. So we have experiences where we can turn things around. We have to be patient. We have to, exercise a strategic patience, right? And of course, the most important point is the issue of budget or external affairs budget. Though it has increased from the last budget, is not good enough. I'll take it one step further. In the kind of security environment in which we live, it is not only the external affairs ministry budget that has to go up, even the defense budget has to go up. And what do we see? Our budget has rolled back. It has slid back. It is now below 1.9% of our GDP. So I think this is something which the government has to seriously rethink about. Okay, I'll not go in for a second round of questions, sir. I'll take a few questions from the audience because I see a few questions are interesting. And then from there we'll take it on. Okay. So the first question which has come up is, let's view this. What is our assessment of the ability of the Bangladesh army and police to handle the present volatile and kinetic environment confronting them? There is a plausibility of internal fragmentation. Uh, Shokin, please take it on. Yeah, sorry, 1 minute, 1 minute. 1 minute. Yeah, can you go ahead?
Hear me, sir?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. This is an excellent question. This is it's a question that, most Bangladesh watchers are, as you remember, sir, just as Sheikh Hasina was sent out, there was a news report about the police in Bangladesh refusing to work with the Bangladesh army. And in fact, the report is, as you yourself said, that the police stations are being filled only now, after almost a week. After that, the police has started struggling in and coming into the back to the police station of Bangladesh. So, Bangladesh, both their army and their police are deeply fractured between the ideology of the Awami League as well as the ideology of the Muslim League or the Jamaat or the BNP. There is a fracture. We have seen an earlier development of almost 10 years ago of the Bangladesh Rifles regime. So there is in Bangladesh the tendency of organizations to have their own ideology, their own set of systems, which often don't function with the centralized army control. So that assessment has to be taken with a pinch of salt. The fact that they are now coming back means there is some kind of convergence between the Bangladesh police and the Bangladesh. Too much power to the students. The street protests becoming the power will create a problem. There's no doubt about it. No government can be run by the street. And by allowing the street protest to allow the Chief Justice of Bangladesh to resign today, and the Vice Chancellor of Bangladesh University to resign, is not a good sign. Because the moment the street starts thinking that they have the power, the chances of institutional forces taking control reduce. And these are two issues. There is definitely a very great possibility of internal fragmentation, and the Bangladesh Chief of Army Staff will have to use all his wisdom and his experience to deal with this internal fragmentation, to take these internal problems and bring them to some kind of cohesion so that they work together for the better good of Bangladesh, of the Bangladesh government. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question to General KJ. Uh, Sir, you used to talk about the Tatulia corridor. Well, that option's out of the door now. What next? Seems the only way to secure Siliguri corridor would be to perhaps painfully annex something. This is a question which keeps coming up, which has come up in the past 3 days. That
Firstly, I appreciate
let me put
this.
it in context. 1 minute. 1 minute. To put it in context, in the past 3 days, over past 3, 4 different debates, people say, look, let's knock off the top half of Bangladesh and annex it. I want you to give a considered view on this because I know it's not feasible. I
See,
mean, we can't think of that. Yeah.
firstly, I'll compliment this person who's asked this question because he has actually, uh, that means he's listening to all our podcasts properly
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
he's putting them in context. So, great compliments to you. You have yourself made yourself a strategic scholar. Well done. Congratulations. And more people should do like this. Now, see, the Tulia corridor is also a little overrated. It is actually linking New Jalpaiguri to Kuch Bihar, taking it right till there. It saves about 4 5 hours. It increases the corridor by where at the narrowest it is about 22. Some people say 18. So it increases it by another 4 5 kilometers. Let's say that way. It's not too much. Annexing any part of Bangladesh may not be very easy. Bangladesh is a very, you must look at the map. It is defined by Ganga, which is called Padma, Brahmaputra, which is called Jamuna, and then from
Yes.
Meghna, which comes from the east, and there are river corridors. So, Jamalpur and this Kamalpur and these areas, Illi, they are in the northwestern wedged between the Ganga, Padma, and Jamuna. Then south of Ganga, there is this southwestern sector which is called Jessore, Komila and Kulna, not Komila, Jessore and Kulna. And towards the east, you have the balance areas. And Dhaka is somewhere in the central south kind of a thing. Now, to take territory, hold on to it, and why should we do it? Are we ready for such a thing? It will create even demographic complications. We, as it is, have sensitive demographic balances. So, I this will pass. This too shall pass, and then maybe the Tulia corridor may also come up. See, what happens is we have done a study and put it across to Bangladesh that if you do these connectivities properly, their trade will come up by 170%. You know, to 250%. That is the kind of gain they'll make. We'll also make about 160%. So we have, and they have realized that thing. So let us leave it for another day. And I would, as a good strategic scholar that you are, I would request you to put down those people who put out such thoughts. Like what General Bhatia told us, India doesn't do it. It's not in our DNA. We don't take our neighbor's territory like this easily and for such purposes. That is how you should, as a strategic scholar, educate your friends. I hope I have answered your question.
Yeah, yeah. I think so, sir. There's yet another question, sir. General Vinod Bhatia, sir, yours. He says, "What's the I? No, no, not this. Sorry, this one. Yeah. So we must be careful about Muhammad Yunus. He's a jihadi at heart. His countries around us will have a problem with unstable. Sounds an awful lot like Paki mentality, oblique extortion technique. Why I've got this is it's an extreme view of someone who's got some international standing. Whether he's for India or not is a next thing. He's today the head of a state. And do you think such a viewpoint will take us far in everything? So your views on that?
Adding on to what Colonel gave the previous question is to the way to secure the Silk corridor is to have a friendly government and invest in the people of the neighboring people. That's one. Secondly, Muhammad jihadi at heart. I don't know. He's a noble on it. It's not easy. And how do we stab someone like him? He is today the interim head of the state. Interim, right? And we're dealing with the head of the state. Period. Whether the proxy power is with the chief of the army staff or not. And let me tell you that there's nothing wrong if the chief of the army proxy power, because at this stage, I think Bangladesh needs someone, with a little bit of a rod out there to make sure that things don't go to hand. Things are not stable as yet. Stability will take time, and the army, Bangladesh army, can provide stability. And in any case, in Bangladesh, I spent a couple of months there, 2021. Earlier also, I visited, like KJ said. In Bangladesh, when you talk to people, I'm talking to people. He said, "I'm Bengali first, I'm Bangladeshi next, and I'm Muslim thereafter." Okay, let me just put this in perspective. There is a lot of meaning in what the people say. The Bengali culture is the primary factor, right? And Muhammad Yunus has done wonders for the people of Bangladesh. That's why he got the Nobel laureate. So let us trust him to look after the people of Bangladesh. Why are we thinking that everyone will be anti-India? Sorry, the anti-India sentiment is there. Let's face facts. There's an anti-India sentiment, and the anti-India sentiment was there in Maldives. Maldives come back. Give them time. Today, the anti-India sentiment, not today, it was visible a few months earlier also. The anti-India rights in the rural areas. So, if the anti-India sentiment in a certain section of people, so be it. We have so many, anti-China, anti-Pakistan sentiment among our people. So, there's nothing, it's a sentiment. But let's give them time to settle down. Whatever the dispensation is there in power, we should respect that dispensation because that is the people's will. Why do we have to impose? We think someone is good. He may be good at the short term, fine. Sheikh Hasina, 4.5 decades, she was there, she was good to us, and she had the respect of the people. If she is not the respect of the people, fine. We should respect the next dispensation. We deal with the dispensation in a nation. We deal with the people in a nation. Not we don't go into say ki wo jihadi hai. I know Jamaat is jihadi. There's an excellent cartoon also that just to reinforce what he's saying. Pakistani general ending up, a Bangladeshi general saying, radicals are a strategic asset. It's today's paper, right? So that is one view. But my thing is that we should look at, as Indians, look at a very mature way and say, please help them to resolve whatever the issues are and not interfere.
Thank you, sir. The next,
Shankar,
yeah,
just
yeah,
one
please.
small
Yeah,
thing,
good.
just want to add. See, everyone uses religious factor in some way or the other. If there is Jamaat, which I don't subscribe and I condemn them completely, but it is said that Sheikh Hasina tried to create her own Hifazat Islam party, which was to counter the Jamaat. And today, these are large amount of chaos and terror was unleashed by this Hifazat elements. So these things, strategic assets like what Jal Bhatia was saying, sometimes like Tariq-e-Taliban Pakistan, they come back to bite.
And yeah,
Simple.
they can backfire.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. The next question, sir. Agreed, we need to get along, but where do we draw the line? We can't exactly have a China or Pakistan situation. We may need to use the stick and carrot approach. Will it be possible? Yeah, all yours, Shokin.
This is it's too early to talk about a China or Pakistan situation. We need to get along, and our priority, like I said when I was speaking at the beginning, should be the people of Bangladesh, should be Bangladesh itself, and not any particular party or any particular ideology. We are here. We must continue to assist the people of Bangladesh for Bangladesh to grow economically and be stable, so that uh, our country can grow. The whole idea is that you have to make sure your neighbors grow so that there is no illegal migration and that doesn't cause a problem within our country. So it's a little too early. The talk of a stick and carrot approach is not relevant at the moment. We must continue to assist Bangladesh. We must continue to make sure that they reach some kind of stability. And as General Bhatia and General KJ both have been speaking about the fact that we must continue to be visible in helping Bangladesh. You said it
Yeah.
very clearly that we are the most important country for Bangladesh. There is no doubt. Both because geography is one part that can never change. You cannot change geography. So with the 4,000 plus kilometers of neighborhood that we have, the fact that Bangladesh is a lower riparian to India, all our waters in that sector flow into Bangladesh. We will be, and our population in Bengal is so emotionally connected that we will be always connected to Bangladesh. That we must remember. So I think it's a little early, but we will choose our strategy once we reach there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Uh, okay. This is an important question, but yes, I need this question. We need to answer this question the way we think in the army. Oh, he says, are we growing only for being rich and have a developed economy? Why should we follow the development metrics of the West? What about the respect of Hindus in the whole world? I would like to say, I would like, Sir General KJ, sir, please go ahead. And I would transpose
See,
this word with Hindu. It's not only Hindu, it's a matter of Indians. So I would like to widen the scope. The question itself has a problem in it. From Hindus to Indians. I think that is the message we need to put across. Yeah, all yours, sir.
see, the respect, I agree, is a function of large number of factors. When we were not so rich, still we had some respect. In parts of Africa where I served in peace building, people used to absolutely hero worship Amitabh Bachchan and all these actors. So Bollywood had a magical kind of effect on those people. Soft power has got its potential, but smart power needs a combination of military power, money. They have to be put and market, all three. Luckily, we have a huge big market which is there with us. We need to have money. Without that development, see, after all, what has China done? China, after pulling out, as per their claims, 80 million people out of poverty, then China is saying, or 800 million, close to 80 crore. Now these people, they have surplus cash, they have surplus infrastructure building capability, so they launched on this BRI initiative, Belt and Road initiative. That's a method to foster dependencies, have connectivity. That is there. You're linking manufacturing hub to markets. You're doing that, but you are making countries dependent on you through your investments. So we need to have money in our pocket. Like with Sri Lanka, when Sri Lanka was in distress, despite Rajpakse and all those things having happened, when China didn't bail them out and India bailed them out, it had salutary effect. So in sequencing of our development, I think economic development should take a predominant place. If we are economically strong and our security mechanism is resilient, then rest will fall in place. Then society will also not have turmoil. But if we were to have, like what has happened in Bangladesh, Bangladesh has had steady growth. It's not a country which was gasping at his breath or like that. It when Sri Lanka had to be helped in the first tranche, Bangladesh gave foreign currency. So Bangladesh had carved out for itself a place, but it had forgotten to address the unemployment, youth, and economic wealth had got concentrated in few hands, which was not liked by anybody. Only the Awami League sympathizers were getting hold of all contracts, all manufacturing, all exports, and they were making big money. So this thing happened. So I would tend to believe uh, while I support your first sentence, we should have holistic kind of development. We should not have a K kind of rise. We should have inclusive rise, where everybody, if all boats should rise, that kind of thing. And respect will come. Respect, in any case, like what our elder colleague Jal Bhatia has been saying from all along, our behavior pattern is such, the way we don't interfere in others' affairs unnecessarily. We try to be, even in dealing with uh, uh, elements in our country who are misguided, we don't call them enemy. Unlike Pakistan army, we don't use heavy weapons. So we have our own Indian approach. So Indian model of development, inclusive, and respect will come along with it. But to aggressively go and propagate that we will have this and that, and we will, it may not work. It may not work. It has got its pitfalls. This is my submission to you. But you have a viewpoint. I respect that
Yeah,
also.
yes, sir. All right. So the last question to General Bhatia. Uh, yeah, it would be a fair assessment that most of our neighbors are on ventilator support economically and have been fair game to forces opposed to Bharat and its progress. Your view, and you would like to dilate on it, and because we did speak of the importance of our neighborhood.
I think Akash has touched a very interesting. It's a very interesting question. There's no doubt that uh, most of our neighbors are on ventilator, and I think we should be looking at it very critically as to why they are on ventilator. Uh, if India is growing, can we grow together at a faster pace? That is what you're looking at. And that is what I said was that with 25% of the world's population and 10% of the world's area, I think we should be, we should, we should take the lesson of ASEAN. Look at the way ASEAN is going. We are looking, we have to look at growth and growing together. That neighborhood first policy was all about that. Unfortunately, it's not worked. Uh, Reason is that we got our adversaries who are interfering, who have more muscle in terms of financial muscle. So we'll have to live with it, but we have to make our neighbors understand that their mid to long term prosperity uh, is to align with India. And how we do that is something which, like I was saying, we have very little budget for our neighbors or for the complete, area. We need to increase that, and that is, I think, where we have to show that India is serious about taking everyone together economically. In Bangladesh, we are the second largest trading partner in Bangladesh at 11 billion. 11 billion hardly any trade if you look at neighbors. When you talk of trade, commerce, BIMSTEC, spoke of BIMSTEC. In the last 2 decades, 20 years, BIMSTEC head of state only met 5 times. So we got to put our money, where we get the maximum together. So economically, I think is more important. And if we are economically interdependence, like I always keep saying that US and China will never go to war, not because of nuclear overhang, because of economic interdependence. If we have economic interdependence, I think we'll grow together. And that is where I think we should be looking at economic interdependence. If a neighbor ventilator, it is not good for us. We are directly impacted, right? We have very little commerce with our neighborhood. We need to increase that, and that is something we should be looking at, and not only always on the on the security angle. How does it affect? Why should anyone be grateful to us? Bangladesh, we have honestly, 1971 war was also equally sacrificed, more sacrificed than the Bangladesh people. Ops Rushlight and thereafter the Mukti Bahini. Have we ever given them credit for that? It was the liberation of Bangladesh, it was the liberation war. We always call it the 1970 Indo-Pakistan war. Well, yes, we defeated Pakistan, we divided the nation, and Bangladesh wanted liberation, we liberated them. But we should also give credit to the people because they suffered. So we have to look inwards and we have to look at growing together. So So that's my viewpoint. It's very fair game. If we saw, if people are opposed to Bharat, they're not opposed to Bharat. They are also looking at themselves. If they look at Bharat growing, they think that we should also grow, and their jealousies will come in. And you look at neighbors. We also envy them. Why do Indians go to the US? Why? Because of better life. Similarly, our neighbors come to India for medical, for the job opportunities are more. So we should grow together. That's what I'm saying.
Thank you, sir. I'll not take any more questions, though there are a lot of them. I thought we had a fantastic discussion on putting things in perspective. Uh, what I would like to sum up is and tell everyone, this Bangladesh, whatever has happened, is an upheaval, and it's a unforeseen upheaval. No one saw it coming. I don't know whether even Bangladeshis saw it coming themselves. And things have happened. A lot of people have been taken by surprise. Okay, upheavals are always emotive, and if you throw religion into it, it becomes an aphrodisiac, and that's a dangerous combination, right? And we are going through the dangerous combination, which is throwing up unnecessary chemistries. Okay. The next thing is countries always look at their interest. At this point of time, Bangladesh is looking at their interest. We also need to look at our interest, and we have to, But the problem which I see in a lot of our discourse is that our interests are being, directed at the wrong place in the wrong time. We well know that we can't grow individually without our neighbors. You can't grow with having 7 neighbors of yours, at odds with you, being your adversaries. They'll pull you down even further. Like we all said, we have, it's interdependence and taking them along with our growth, which will, multiply our growth rather than divide it. Okay. Many opinions which are being expressed today by the public, whether it's in social media or print media or in electronic media or in any media, is lot divisiveness. Divisiveness will not take us far. We need to look at our interests. We need to look at interdependence. We need to see how we can win over Bangladesh. It's going to be a tough ask because at this point of time, Bangladesh themselves doesn't know what is in it for themselves. Right? They are in a situation where, like one of you rightly said, it could disintegrate. The whole thing could come apart tomorrow. We have to be patient. And remember, all this happened on 5th. Just 5th. And we are just 5 days into the whole story. It will take time. It will take time, and we need to understand and not rush into situations or into positions from where we can't retrieve ourselves. And a lot of these positions are driven by public opinion. Even many of our leaders will react based on our opinions. And so hence, a bit of caution is good. A bit of stepping back is good. Please understand, we are not going through the same emotions which a chap in Bangladesh is going through. Right? And he's going through the revolution. We are watching it from at times, even 1,000, 2,000 kilometers away. And we are passing judgments on them, which is not fair. And many of the things which are today appearing in the media, in the age of information, fake information, and information warfare, a lot of it which is coming in the media needs to be discounted. Because if you start making your opinion based on the media, then I think we will be completely wrong. Right? With this, sirs, I'd like to thank all of you for this wonderful discussion you had, the very important points which you brought out. I'd also like to thank the audience because you come out with some good points. You come out with some very good questions. And I see from what I saw, the questions which I handled 3 days back to the questions which are now, there's some logic and reasoning coming in. Right? Initially, everything was emotive. Today, it is less emotive. Maybe in the next 2 to 3 days, things will become logical. And that's a good sign of getting back to stability. With this, I'd like to thank everyone all again once more and say good evening and Jai Hind to all of you. Jai Hind, sirs.
Thank you very much to all your viewers, and thank you, Jan Shankar, thank you, Jan KJ, thank you, Shokin, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, viewers, and thank you, Jan Bhatia sir and Jan Shankar and Shokin, for being such eminent panelists with us. And viewers, though Jan Shankar has forgotten, let me remind you, you have to like, subscribe, and be part of this
Oh,
movement.
thank you, sir.
That you have to do. That's how it keeps going. Thank you.
Yeah, one. Thank you.